Good evening and welcome to this remote meeting of Wirral Planning Committee. My name is Stuart Kelly and I'm the chair of the committee. This meeting will be webcast and a record retained on the council website. Can officers please confirm the webcast is on and the sound is okay?
Yeah.
Thanks. For those people at home who are viewing the webcast, if you look above the meeting, you will see a resources tab. Select this and the link to the agenda will appear on the right hand side. This will then enable you to open the agenda reports as PDF documents and follow the discussion. My role is to ensure the committee runs smoothly, having regard to procedure, behaviour and ethics. To explain who are with us online: planning officers, a highway engineer and an environmental health officer. They will present the applications and provide any technical advice that may be required. The council solicitor. She will give advice to the committee on procedural and legal matters that may arise. There is also the minute taker and of course IT support. The elected members will consider the applications and collectively make the decisions. Voting will be by roll call. I understand there are no speakers for this evening's items. Each application will be introduced by the planning officers. The application will then be open to debate and discussion by members of the planning committee and will then make a decision on the application. When making decisions, members may only have regard to material planning considerations. It's a matter for each member individually to balance these considerations and to decide what weight to give them. Members will also have regard to local planning policies and to the National Planning Policy Framework and Guidance. Members of the committee must not predetermine any matter which comes to committee for decision. However, it is permissible for committee members to be predisposed towards a particular outcome with regards to application, provided they don't make up their minds on how to vote before formally considering the application details, listening to the presentations and the full debate at committee. Members must have listened to the debate and considered all the facts before deciding whether or not to move any motion. If a member is minded to put a motion to the committee, it's good practice to first seek advice from the planning officers on the wording of a potential motion. A reminder for members: keep your microphone muted and your camera off until called to speak. Ensure that the chat function is accessible to you. Indicate that you want to speak by typing your request into the chat function. Turn on your camera and microphone prior to speaking. Turn them off again when you have finished. When a vote is to be taken, the solicitor will call your name. We now need to just check all members are present and their equipment is working correctly. When I call your name, could you turn on your camera and microphone and confirm, please? George Davies.
George Davies, present and correct, Stuart. Thank you.
Thanks. Steve Foulkes.
Councillor Steve Foulkes, present and correct.
Samantha Frost.
Hi, good evening, Chair. Present and correct.
Thank you. Andrew Gardner.
Evening, Chair. Andrew Gardner here. Thank you.
Kathy Hodson.
Thank you, Chair. Present and correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Jordan.
Councillor Mary Jordan, present and correct.
Brian Kelly.
Councillor Brian Kenny, present and correct. Thank you.
And Paul Stewart.
Councillor Paul Stewart.
And finally Alison Wright.
Alison Wright, present and correct. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks, members. Everyone will be aware that we're meeting at a time of national mourning following the death of Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. Prince Philip has left us with a lasting positive legacy in the award scheme that bears his title, the Duke of Edinburgh Award, which has had a positive and lasting impact on young people since it was established in 1956, not just in the UK, but in the 144 countries around the world where it is run. In addition, we meet on the evening of the anniversary of the Hillsborough disaster, when 32 years ago, 96 men, women and children who went to see a football game lost their lives. And we remember them, their families and their friends also tonight. I think it's appropriate, members, that we observe a minute's silence before we continue with our business tonight. Okay, thanks for that. We'll continue with our business. Item 1 on the agenda then is the minutes of the meeting on the 18th of March to approve the accuracy of those minutes. No objections, I don't think, in the chat, so we'll take those as agreed. Agenda item 2, members' code of conduct, declarations of interest. Members of the committee are asked whether they have any personal or prejudicial interests in connection with any application on the agenda, and if so, to declare them and state the nature of the interest. Okay, no declarations there. Thank you. Agenda item 3 then is the application at 5 to 7 Broadway, High Bebington. You can ask the plan officers to introduce that report, please. Okay, we can see that plan.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair. This application has been referred to the Planning Committee as there are more than 15 objections. These can be summarised as the property needs to be inspected, the property is in a state of disrepair, and a meeting was held to discuss the application.
Joe, I think we're doing item 3, so I don't know whether my agenda is possibly the wrong way round.
Is it? Sorry, is it Broadway? I beg your pardon.
Broadway that was next on my.
Thank you for that, Nini. We've got the right one. This application has been referred to the Planning Committee as there are 20 objections to the proposal, but also there are 200 representations in support of the application. The objections relate to the increase in noise and general disturbance, the impact on residential amenities through smells and odour, antisocial behaviour, highway safety, the increase in demand in parking, and structure is unsightly. The representations in support of this proposal consider that these measures will enable the applicant to open in a safe manner during COVID times. The application site comprises of an existing restaurant that's been in operation following the grant of planning permission in 2018. The unit is located within a small parade of shops, which contains a canopied front, which doesn't actually extend onto to the public highway. It forms part of the actual application unit. There was, before COVID, there was some outdoor seating area there. The application is for the construction of an enclosure to the outdoor seating area underneath the existing canopy. The applicant has confirmed that the materials to be used in the construction of this application will be grey UPVC base and grey aluminium window frames to match the existing frontage. There are no highway or environmental health objections to the proposal. There have been objections raised regarding the appearance of the proposed structure insofar as it would be out of keeping with the existing parade. The enclosure will not extend beyond the existing canopy and will be constructed in materials that align with the existing frontage. The area has been used for outdoor seating in the past. With regards to the impact on highway safety, the area to be enclosed is currently used for outdoor seating and doesn't extend onto the public highway. There are no objections from a highway safety point of view. Concerns have also been raised regarding the increase in noise and general disturbance and antisocial behaviour. However, this area has been used for outside dining purposes in the past and could still be used for the same purposes. The majority of residential properties are over 40 metres away, and this complies with the advice set out in SPD 3. So the proposed use is unlikely to cause any further impact on the current use. In relation to the increase in demand in parking requirements, the proposal is not for an increase in the amount of covers, rather the enclosure of an existing outdoor area. For these reasons, the proposal is considered to comply with with relevant unit development plan policies and is recommended for approval subject to the attached conditions.
Thanks for that. So we have no petitioner. It's before us because of 20 letters of objection. It's open to members to make comments. It seems to me that it's not public highway, that it's been in use as a dining area. The only question is around the structure itself, but I also note the temporary nature of it. Kathy.
Thanks, Chair. I don't really have a problem with this. Under section 311(2), where concerns have been raised with regards to noise and antisocial behaviour, under the Licensing Act, premises can be dealt with a call and if there's a problem. So I think residents' fears over that issue can be allayed with regard to that possibility. And in terms of the restricted opening hours, 11 p.m. Monday to Saturday and 10 p.m. on a Sunday, I think that's a reasonable time frame. And bearing in mind with the nights drawing out, in the height of the summer, it's still light at 10 o'clock. So I don't think residents need to be unduly concerned about this application. For me, the pavement area isn't being encroached on any further than it is already because it's underneath the existing canopy. So I have no problems with this application, Chair.
Thanks, Kathy. Steve Foulkes.
Yes, Chair. Thanks for calling us in. I've looked at the objections and I've been given some information of some of the objections have come from neighbouring businesses, and there seems to be a couple of issues about parking demands and people parking having a direct effect on neighbouring businesses. But looking deeper into the application, it's not about increasing the number of seats or the amount of clientele that it used to attract prior to COVID. It's simply allowing those diners to have more space within the COVID regulations and to dine more safely. So although they are legitimate concerns, I think, of residents and indeed of people who rely on passing trade, I think that is a current situation that may need to be looked at future to highways. I believe there's an hour's waiting limit, and I think that's being abused somewhat. However, on the more general point, I think this industry, the hospitality industry, has suffered greatly during the COVID crisis. And I don't think although we are taking it seriously and every application of this type will be taken seriously and looked at, I don't think the first type of this application that's come to planning, we would want to put ourselves in the guise of being a bureaucratic stumbling block for business to thrive and regain. And there's some comfort within the application, as you may want to confirm, Chair, that this is a temporary 12-month application, as I was discussing during the briefing. And it's an attempt at this business to recover and thrive after what's been an awful period of time. And I'm guessing we will get applications in similar vein. So I don't want this council to send out a message on the first one of these types of application that we're not supportive of business in general, but we are taking seriously all those comments made by residents and neighbouring businesses. But I agree with Kathy, I think this is for the good. And just for those who haven't seen the area and our viewers on the webcam, there is a natural boundary created by the extended sort of cantilever cover. similar to other parades in the borough, and that forms the natural boundary. And then there's the footpath, so there's no obstruction of the footpath. It's part of the natural boundary of the business, which has been previously used for dining. So my view is that I would be more than happy to, unless other people want to speak, of course, happy to move approval of the application and wish luck to the business to fight back and serve its customers in a safer manner. So I formally propose approval, Chair.
Okay, thanks for that, Steve. Yeah, I think condition number 1, with the reasons given there, indicate that it is a temporary structure for 12 months, after which it'll either have to be removed or there'll have to be a fresh application. I'll take that, yes, Steve, as you having moved that. Kathy, do you want to come in and second it for the camera? Joe, could you take the plan down?
Yes, Chair, I'll second approval.
Thanks, Kathy. Sam, did you want to come in?
Thank you, Chair. No, it wasn't to waste members' time. I just, I completely agree with the comments from Councillor Foulkes. I think it's an exciting opportunity for the business to get back on its feet and to give people a safe way to re-engage in more normal life. So yeah, thank you, Chair.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'd say the area has been used for tables and chairs previously. We're only being asked really to comment on a structure. There's been some objections to the structure, I think, but it's temporary nature, I think, for 12 months persuades me. If all members have finished, we can possibly move to vote, I think. Yes, let me we'll go through voting. So voting will be for, against or abstaining on the motion to approve. The solicitor will call your name. Please turn on your camera and microphone and say who you are before voting. Members should only cast a vote if they've heard the planning officer's presentation and the debate in relation to this matter in full and have not had any technical difficulties during this item. In the event that you have had problems hearing the discussion, you should not vote and indicate not voting when called. I may hand over to the solicitor now.
Yeah, could I just ask if the planning officer could turn her camera off before we move to the vote, please?
Done.
Thank you. So, Councillor George Davis.
Councillor George Davis, 4.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Foulkes.
Councillor Steve Foulkes, voting for.
Thank you. Councillor Frost.
Councillor Sam Frost, 4.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner.
Andrew Gardner, 4.
Thank you. Councillor Hodson.
Councillor Hodson, 4.
Thank you. Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Mary Jordan, 4.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly.
Stuart Kelly, 4.
And Brian Kenny.
Councillor Brian Kenny, 4.
Thank you. Councillor Paul Stewart.
Councillor Paul Stewart, 4.
And Councillor Wright.
Councillor Wright, 4.
Thank you. That's unanimous, Chair.
That application is approved unanimously. Thanks for that. We'll now move on to agenda item 4 then, which is the development of 110 Raeburn Avenue Eastham. If Plan Officer could introduce this report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair. This application has been referred to the Planning Committee as there are more than 15 objections to the proposal. These can be summarised as the property needs to be inspected, the property is in a state of disrepair, and a meeting was held to discuss the application. There's no actual formal reasons, planning reasons for objecting to this application. The application site comprises of a 2-storey semi-detached property situated in the road of similar house types within a designated residential area. The original submission has been amended to reduce the size of the extension to this area here. The application has reduced the projection to the rear extension to 3 metres, where it abuts the party boundary with number 112, and also to comply with the advice in SPG note 11. The proposed garden room will have a 6-metre projection and will from the study and will replace an existing garage and shed. This element will not project beyond the existing garage at the neighbouring property at 108. In terms of the objections raised, these aren't considered to be to cover material planning issues. The proposal is considered to be acceptable and comply with both UDP policy HS11 and supplementary planning guidance note 11. It's not therefore considered not to have a detrimental impact on the residential amenities of flanking properties, and for these reasons the application is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so there's no petition that's before us because of the number of objections, 21 legitimate ones. I think I'm right in saying, perhaps Joe could just confirm that the objections were to a previous iterations of the plans, and that they have been altered by the applicant, and it's been re-advertised on the amended plans.
Yeah, there's been no further objections to the amended plans, and the previous objections didn't actually relate to the extension, but it's been amended anyway in line with our policy.
Okay, I mean, if the applicant wants an extension that complies with policy, one would hope that the objections that we've received about the general disrepair will be resolved once the extension and the house is done up, for want of a better word. Anyway, I'll open it up if any members have any contribution to make. If not, I'll start the ball rolling by moving approval. So I'll wait patiently for a member to second that if they want to move on.
I'll second this, Stuart.
Thanks, George. There a second.
Yeah, I'd have done the same, Stuart. I can't get into my chat function.
Oh, right, it's not quite so quick. Did you want to? Oh, she's gone. Steve Foulkes. You want to say? Everybody wants to second it now. Steve, did you? Are you happy with it?
I'm sorry, it's the time of the show. I just wanted to concur with your comments, Chair, and formally second, if that's okay by everyone else. It does appear, I've been up to the property, and it has attracted attention, but not attention that is worthy of a planning or a material planning consideration. And the new application is different than the original one that attracted objections. And we've asked the officers or I've asked the officers certainly, does it comply with all our planning guidance for extensions of this type of property? And the answer is yes. So in the absence of a formal seconder, I'll formally second.
Okay, thanks for that. I think the disrepair issues could well be resolved by the granting of planning permission. At least then the owner can get on and have the house that clearly after. Okay, let's vote then. Voting will be for, against, or abstaining on the motion to approve. The solicitor will call your name. Please turn on your camera and microphone and say who you are before voting. Members should only cast a vote if they've heard the planning officer's presentation and the debate in relation to this matter in full and have not had any technical difficulties during this item. In the event that you have had problems hearing the discussion, you should not vote and indicate not voting when called. And I will hand over to the solicitor.
Thank you, Chair. So, Councillor Davies.
Councillor George Davies, 4.
Thank you. Councillor Foulkes.
Councillor Foulkes voting for.
Thank you. Councillor Frost.
Councillor Frost voting for. Thank you.
Councillor Gardner.
Councillor Gardner, 4.
Thank you. Councillor Hodson.
Councillor Catherine Hodson, 4.
Councillor Jordan.
Councillor Mary Jordan, 4.
Thank you. Councillor Kelly.
Stuart Kelly voting for.
Thank you. Councillor Kenny.
Councillor Brian Kenny voting for.
Thank you. Councillor Stuart.
Councillor Paul Stewart voting for.
And Councillor Wright.
Councillor Alison Wright, 4.
Thank you. That's unanimous, Chair.
Thanks for that. That application is approved unanimously. Okay, members, a relatively calm meeting to end, in fact, this municipal year. This is the final meeting of the planning committee, the full planning committee, before the local elections and the annual general meeting. Can I take the opportunity then to thank members and officers for their work during this truncated, the shorter municipal year. I know that some members of the committee are candidates in the forthcoming elections. I think about half. I know I am, and I wish you all well. I don't think any members are planning to leave by choice in May, but I do know of one officer who is planning to leave us by choice. Our solicitor, Cecilia, is retiring in June, and this is her last full planning committee. Cecilia has been 50 years in local government with 12 years at Wirral. And we know that she's done a great job keeping us on the legal straight and narrow, because as a committee we haven't yet gone viral or earned our own hashtag over this past year for doing something spectacularly stupid. We followed our standing orders and had the benefits of Cecilia's expert advice throughout. So Cecilia, enjoy your retirement. And with that, I'll close the meeting. Does any other members wish to nip in?
I'd just like to say, Celia, thank you for everything that you've done and enjoy your retirement, well earned. And Stuart, thank you for chairing the meeting so wonderfully well for the past year. Look forward to you chairing it again in the next year. Thank you.
Councillor.
And good night to everybody.
Okay, and just from the obviously Labour group's perspective, Cecilia, have a fantastic retirement. You've been an absolute rock for us to depend on. We've always had straightforward advice, which is very unusual for a solicitor. I once said to the solicitor, is it true you can earn £500 for answering one question? And the solicitor said, yes, that'll be £500. So I'd just like to say, thanks for all your help, and we really appreciate and really enjoy your retirement. You deserve it. And Stuart, thanks for your chairing this year. Apparently there's a deal been done. You're going to be chair next year with the Conservatives, but we won't let that out the bag. Okay, good luck, everyone.
Yeah.
Just thanks, Steve, as well as Vice Chairman, for bringing yet another joke out of retirement during our during our committee meetings. Members, thank you very much. And with that, I'll close the meeting and end the webcast.